Welcome back to our December theory lesson. So far, we've covered a number of topics. During the months of September and October, we concentrated on music notation, time values, and semitones, whole tones, and accidentals. Last month, we focused in on major and minor scales. This month, we're going to work on identifying intervals. So, without any further ado, let's jump into intervals. So, you may be asking what an interval is. Well, an interval is the distance between two notes. When the notes of an interval are played one after the other, the interval is called a melodic interval. So melodic meaning melody. In a melody, it is subsequent notes after each other, not like a chord. So a melodic interval is when one note is played after the other. When the notes of an interval are played at the same time, the interval is called harmonic. So that's kind of like harmony. We're creating a chord with that interval. All intervals have a specific number. This number is determined by counting the letter names of the notes in the interval from the lowest to the highest. So here we can see a C and a G. So we would start counting on C, that would be our 1. We would then go to D, which would be our 2. We would then go to E, which would be 3. We'd then be on F, which would be 4. And then finally, we'd get to that G that they have there, which would be our 5, or this interval would be a fifth. At this moment of time, please go and complete the assignment on the bottom of page 87. All you have to do is put in the number for the distance of the interval, or write the interval above when given the distance. Great. So we are going to focus in on the major scale for the moment being. So intervals, obviously, if we include flats and sharps and other things like that, we need a little more clarification than just it's a seventh or it's a fifth. We want something called a quality. So the following intervals here are formed between the notes of the major scale. In a major scale, we have two types of qualities of intervals. We have the intervals of a unison, a fourth, a fifth, and an octave. All four of these intervals are classified as perfect intervals. You can abbreviate that by just putting a capital P, or if you want to write PER for per, that's fine as well. But the easiest thing is just to write a capital P. So instead of writing out perfect fourth, you would just have to write P4. Our other intervals, that is our second, our third, our sixth, and our seventh, all get classified as major intervals. So when you want to specify something is a major interval, you specify that with a capital M before. So, for example, instead of writing major third, you would write capital M 3. We want to make sure that it's a capital because when we introduce minor, minor becomes lowercase. So think of the bottom note of an interval as the tonic of a major scale. If the upper note of the interval is a member of the scale of the lower note, the interval will be either perfect or major. So let's choose C major just because it's easy right now. If you have a C and a G, we know that G is part of C, so we would just consider C to be the tonic of the scale. And if the upper note is a member of the scale of the lower note, the internal will be either perfect or major. So in this case, C, D, E, F, G, that's a fifth, and we know that our fifth interval will be perfect. Or another example from D to F sharp. So in D major, we have an F sharp and a C sharp, so we know that it's part of the scale. And if we go D, E, F sharp, we learn that that's the third, because F sharp is the third note of the D major scale, and because it's a major scale, it's going to be a major third. Or another example would be from F to B flat. So F, G, A, B flat, that's our fourth, because we have 4 notes to get to the fourth, and it will be perfect because our fourth, fifth, octave, and tonic will always be perfect. At this time, please complete the work on the bottom of page 88 and the top of page 89. Great. So we've talked about major intervals and we've talked about perfect intervals. Next, we want to talk about minor intervals. So a minor interval is 1 semitone smaller than a major interval. I'll say that again. A minor interval is 1 semitone smaller than a major interval. So notice that it says a major interval. That does not include a perfect interval. That's something else completely. Okay. In other words, the notes of a minor interval are 1 semitone closer together than the notes of a major interval. So here we have our major second, and if we were to flatten that second, it would become a minor second. Our next major third, if we make that a little bit smaller with an E flat, it becomes a minor third. Our major second gets flattened again from D to E flat, that's a minor second. And same from D to F sharp, and lowering that down to F natural makes that a minor third as well. As I had said before, we want to abbreviate minor with a lowercase m. So we would just call it lowercase m for minor and the number of the interval. To determine if an interval is major or minor, think of the bottom note as the tonic of the major scale. That's always going to be step 1. Okay. If the top note is a major member of the major scale of the bottom note, the interval is major. If the top note is a semitone lower, the interval is minor. So for example, if we think of D to F natural, so instead of D, E, F sharp, we think D, E, F. So the F is still the third, but the natural F is not part of the scale of D major. The interval of D to F natural is 1 semitone smaller than the major third of D to F sharp. Therefore, this makes D to F natural a minor third. Intervals are always identified by using the lowest note as the tonic. This applies to melodic intervals even when the lowest note comes after the highest note. So remember that bottom note is always the tonic. So here they're showing you E flat to C, not C to E flat, because that would go from the C where it is to the E flat above. We're going from E flat to C. So in the key of E flat major, there are 3 flats. None of them are C. Therefore, C is in the key of E flat, and that's going to be a major interval. If we count up C or E flat 1, F2, G3, A4, B5, C6. So we know that that is a sixth, and we know that it's in our key, so it is a major sixth. The next example here is from from F to A, because the F is the lower pitch. In the key of F, there is only 1 flat, which is a B flat. So that A is in the key of F. Let's start on F and count up. F1, G2, A3. So we've established that the A is in the key. So it's going to be either a major or perfect interval, and it's a third. So we're going to call that a major third. Our third example here is from C to B flat. Once again, the C, even though it comes after the B flat, is the lower note. So if we make C the tonic, the key of C major has no sharps or flats. Unfortunately, B flat is not in the key signature of C major. So we know that it's going to be lower. If we count up from C, C1, D2, E3, F4, G5, A6, B7. So we know from C to B is a seventh, and we know that B flat is not in the key of C major, so they've made it a smaller interval. Therefore, we name this interval a minor seventh. At this point of time, please complete the work on page 90, 91, and 92. It's lots of work or lots of practice in writing and recognizing perfect, major, and minor intervals. Remembering we always start from the bottom and work our way up. And with that, that is our theory assignment for this month. If you have any questions, once again, please do not hesitate to come to me and ask for clarification. I'm always here, and I can be available almost every Flex B during the week, except on Wednesdays because I'm teaching intermediate band. Hopefully this made a lot of sense, and I look forward to seeing all of your work. Have a great day.